So do you think it's possible that there's open conflict? We seem to be moving towards something.
I don't know, because I don't know what it, you know, I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen, and that's probably a bad combination.
For the amount in which the Republican candidates on that stage in Milwaukee went after one another, Chuck, tonight, Donald Trump's exchanges with Tucker Carlson very much felt like a whole different campaign or a different race, if I may.
It's a striking thing that there was no denouncement of any violence, right? There was no, we just played a clip there, but I'm just curious. He didn't say, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure to tamp down any violence, to tamp down this behavior. Was there any of that? No, that's right. And I think that we should be clear that we have heard this from the folks on the ground who have suggested that if Donald Trump were to be put into jail or lose the 2024 election, that they would see this going to a dangerous place. A woman just told me earlier this week in Iowa, that she, in her own words, thought the civil war was imminent here. I think we're at a very difficult point for this country. And Donald Trump, as you heard, did not explicitly say that civil war is not imminent. And you know, for the leading GOP contender here on the Republican side, you know, it's hard not to see a difficult 2024 ahead, knowing Vaughn,
that we
who
very
brought
well
this
have
up?
Yeah.
Did Tucker introduce this idea?
This was Tucker.
Did Tucker Carlson introduce this idea?
Carlson, and
so he's kind of cheering it on?
Tucker Carlson.
I mean, I'm confused by him. I know he's kind of he's a propagandist. So what was he trying to do here?
Right, and it was actually Donald Trump, within the first few minutes of the interview, was asked over the course of about 2 minutes about what he thought about the death of Jeffrey Epstein, which the government has deemed that he died by suicide. And after about 2 minutes of Tucker asking Trump about this, and Trump seemingly confused and even saying himself that he thought it was in fact a suicide, Tucker tried to correlate that by saying, well, could potentially they be trying to kill you next, was his inference there. And I know I would be interested in the words of your next guest here, because for Donald Trump, it was, you know, it was quite the correlation that Tucker Carlson seemed to be making. And I don't think Tucker Carlson is wrong to be talking about the prospect of a potential civil war and open conflict, because we hear that from folks on the ground. At the same time, it's one that clearly the former president is having some difficulty wrestling with, and as somebody who just had a fundraiser last night for January 6th defendants, I think it's an important question for the former president to continue to face about the prospect of violence in the country.
All right, Vaughn Hilliard on the ground for us in Atlanta. Vaughn, thank you. Well,
but just because they're not serious people, that doesn't mean they're not dangerous, because how did they score those points? By going full authoritarian. Remember American Carnage? Now it's America's dark moment.
It is not morning in America. We live in a dark moment, and we have to confront the fact that we're in an internal, sort of cold cultural civil war.
That was fresh-faced authoritarianism enthusiast Vivek Ramaswamy, who is polling just behind Ron DeSantis. Ramaswamy declared a cold...
The heartbreaking news that Jacksonville has suffered the loss of 3 precious lives at the hands of an active shooter. This afternoon, a little after 1 p.m., an individual we have not yet officially identified entered a Dollar Tree in the Newtown area of Jacksonville, outfitted with a tactical vest, armed with an AR-style rifle, and a handgun. Then the shooter killed 3 people before turning the gun on himself, taking his own life. Other than the 3 individuals killed and the shooter himself, there are no additional people who suffered gunshot wounds. We are not identifying the deceased victims at this time, but I can tell you that there are 2 male victims and 1 female victim. All of the deceased victims are black. Multiple units from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office responded to this active shooter scene, as did members of Jacksonville Fire Rescue, our mayor, and city leaders. We are still in the very early stages of this investigation, so there's a lot of information that we don't know at this time. I will share with you the information that I have been able to verify. The shooter was believed to have resided in Clay County with his parents. He was involved in a 2016 domestic call in Clay County with no arrest, in 2017 he did have a Baker Act. We know that at 11:39 a.m. today, Sheriff Cook gave us information that he left Clay County, headed to Jacksonville. At 1:18 p.m., he texted his father and told his father to check his computer. At 1:53 p.m., the shooter's family members called the Clay County Sheriff's Office. By that time, he had already began shooting in Jacksonville. The Clay County Sheriff's Office, who has been assisting our agency with this investigation, received information after the shooting that the shooter had authored several manifestos, one to his parents, one to the media, and one to federal agents. Portions of these manifestos detailed the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people. He wanted to kill. That's the one and only time I'll use that word. I want to be very clear that there is absolutely the shooter is part of any large group. We know that he acted completely alone. If you take a look at the images